Reporting. Can you believe skiing in Mammoth? That's my home resort. Unbelievable. Well, the shocking developments in the case against Dominique Strauss-Kahn have already meant major changes for the former head of the International Monetary Fund. Strauss-Kahn was released from house arrest Friday after prosecutors revealed that the woman who accused him of sexual assault had some credibility problems. Let's bring in our legal panel to weigh in on this case. Karen DeSoto is a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor, and Keith Sullivan is a criminal defense attorney. And welcome back. Thank you very much for being here. All right, the credibility problems. First up to you, Keith. What do they do to the prosecution's case here? Because there's not a question as to whether or not things were exchanged. I mean, there's DNA evidence to prove that something happened of a sexual nature between these two.
You're right. Sex occurred.
Right.
That's established. Right. That's clear cut. The question is, did it occur in the course of a crime? And when a complainant comes into the police station or the district attorney's office, they have and it's a felony charge, they have a very limited window in which to indict that individual. 5 days. That's not really enough time to do a thorough investigation. So what happens is you have an indictment and then the investigation begins. And the defense did their investigation. They notified the prosecution of certain things that they had uncovered, and the prosecution has conducted their investigation, and those investigations continue to this day and will continue for the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Karen, understandably, all throughout France and even here stateside, there are those that are suggesting this was a rush to judgment. What do you think?
Well, in a rape case, it's always a rush to judgment.
Because of what Keith just explained?
Kobe Bryant, Duke rape, but those are all situations where there were credibility issues with the victim, but they only have a certain time period. Are there red flags? Absolutely, there's red flags. Do the prosecutors in a high-profile case really spend a lot of time investigating? More so than a regular rape case, that I can tell you. But credibility in a rape case, that's the case. The credibility of the victim is the entire case.
Can I just ask you both, though, on I guess a moral stance here? If something does happen, how difficult is it? Just because rape is among the most difficult things to prove, how challenging is it if you think something may indeed have happened, but just because you can't prove it?
Rape cases, to me, are the most difficult cases. It is clearly, it always occurs one-on-one. He said, she said. Unlike a murder where you can prove that the crime actually took place, it's just a matter of who and why. Rape is so difficult. But when somebody comes into the office or a police station and they make those allegations, and the potential defendant has an international passport, has access to wealth beyond measure, and is going to the airport to get on a plane and leave the country and go to a country where there is no extradition policy,
you would have been gone,
you have to make the arrest. There was probable cause for the arrest. All of that was appropriate. I don't believe that the bail conditions were appropriate, and that's where I find criticism of Cy Vance and the district attorney's office. Okay. They should not have treated him like Bernie Madoff.
So,
taking the passport would have been sufficient. $5 million bond, ankle bracelet, house arrest.
You think that was a bit of a circus there?
Overkill.
Okay. Karen, with regard to what they're going to look at now, because, again, establishing something has happened, does it come down to whether or not it was consensual or forcible or consensual with an agenda? This was something that may have been premeditated because of the shady characters with whom this hotel maid and the accuser have aligned herself.
It's all going to come down to whether the prosecutor feels that there's too many inconsistent statements. Just like in the Kobe Bryant case, they'll let the media attention die down and then they'll toss the case. Because you can't put somebody on the stand that you believe is lying or that there's inconsistent statements. Again, it's all about the credibility of the victim. So yeah, you may have, you know, if she allegedly is doing this to get a monetary value, obviously jurors don't like that, but if there's inconsistent statements, forget it. The prosecutor will toss it.
Did the prosecution bungle this case? Either of you, what do you think?
No, not at all. They
because of this time that you talked about, they had to go.
Everybody would be crying foul, saying because he's a celebrity, because he has access to politics and money, he's getting unfair treatment that nobody else would get.
I mean,
the benefit of.
The man has a lot of money. Normal people don't wait for somebody's attorney to go out of town to go and talk to the victim and tape record them behind the attorney's back. Who has those type of resources? So the resources and the fact that he does have resources does come into a play because normal people do not have access like he does.
Okay, Karen DeSoto, Keith Sullivan. We have more later. Back to Casey Anthony the next time. Thanks. A scare for guests staying at a hotel in London.